Hello there everyone, Night King TV here, bringing you my PVP Magicka Templar for Horns of the Reach. Go ahead and hop right in, go over the gear, starters, weapon damage, spell damage, max Magicka, max stamina, and max recovery. Shackle Breaker and the other set that I'm running, it really is what makes this build work. You need, a decent stat pool, mana pool, and stam actually to block, because we are running dual wield and sword and board. And you also need recovery to back that up as well. So this is a really good set, almost a must-have with this build, no matter what the variation is on the second set. 2 sharpened swords, and powered on the back sword, and impin, as I think I said that already. We got Grothdar for the 2-piece monster set. Prismatic, I have both the helm and shoulder in heavy. Max Magicka enchant. I have prismatics on the shield and the big, so the head, the shield, legs, and chest. I'll have prismatics enchants, and everything else is max Magicka enchants on the body. I am running 5-piece heavy. So the 2 light armor pieces I'm running is the second set, Amber Plasm, crit and the damage boost, as long as you know a little bit more to your mana pool. I'm running Witch Mother's Potent Brew, max Magicka, max health, and Magicka recovery up a little bit higher. This came out of the Witches Festival, whatever it was, pots. Get knockbacks and disabling effects for 15 seconds, and gives me some Magicka. These give me boost my health recovery and my Magicka recovery. Be using these after these. I use the immovable pots mostly, like everyone being pressured on defense. When I'm put on defense, I'll use one, but I really I'll keep my block up, and then as soon as I can pop a pot, and I go on offense, because opponent can't break my attack for that 15 seconds. There's no knockbacks, so I can pressure and get the face. We'll go ahead and jump into now. I am a I guess I would say the pieces I would recommend is either Brett and High Elf. You're going to get a bit more damage out of this build, better max stats. I get recovery and cost reduction from the Brett, so that. Apprentice Boon for spell damage. Atronach is I just want the Apprentice for a little more damage. I do have 1 offensive bonus, and I am in Cyrodiil. I'm running 64 in the health. My stats is on my dual wield bar. 38, 24k, 24k max up it. I'm pretty armor, and I have pretty decent resistance. 38k is a pretty decent mag. If I get to 40, that would be a deal, pretty damn close. 600 spell damage, crit, spell resistance, and 14k physical, 600 crit resistance. So I have a little, pretty good crit resistance. Buffed, I don't have. We'll swap sword and board. Check that out real fast. On my sword and board bar, I am getting 37k max Magicka, 26k health, and 14k. Swapping a little bit of health for Magicka, this side of things. Not a big deal. 2130. I still do a little bit of damage, but this bar is mostly for buffing myself alive. Mag recovery is at 16. Health recovery, I am a vamp, so my health recovery is pretty much negligible. 9 recovery, just enough to my stam. I actually, as long as I watch my stam. And we're at the dual wield with the Magicka recovery. Up. So now I'm buffed in Cyrodiil. Now I'm at 02. With the passives, my damage actually goes up the more damage I take. So see, I'm up to what? I'm up to spell damage. Buff 21k, spell resistance 14. Then buff back up. Go on the board. Now I'm at 30k spell, 2k physical resistance. I've got decent resistance going on here. Really useful for keep in the world Cyrodiil. I usually run either maybe 3 to 5 by myself, mostly when I'm doing that. So that's stats. We'll go over this. This is our attack bar. Now we got puncturing sweeps. This is kind of your spammable DPS. It heals you a bit, and it does 4 strike and 1306 magic damage with each strike. Nearest enemy takes additional damage for each strike. Closest one, and it repeats by 70% for 2 seconds. So gives you heal, does a little bit of damage, enough to pressure people with. Group of people, it does a little bit of damage. Light, this you need 100%. Is where a lot of your DPS comes from, a lot of your burst. So big beam over someone's head, and it does get 4100 magic damage. But it's up all the damage that you. This is up for 6 seconds damage you do to the person, and 20% of that damage additionally to 6 seconds. So as you damage I can do right now, copy damage is A. So essentially you can do 26 with this beam, and it also gives you a little bit of a heal as well. So again, an offensive ability that's healing you a little bit. So you need 100% uptime on when you're fighting enemies. Just have it on somebody, and you want to try to that person. Even though a little bit of AOE, it's on whoever you're going to attack, and that's who you're trying to DPS down. First down, whoever's got the light on him. Spain, this is a dot, so you want to keep this applied with purifying. Essentially, these two work together. You want to purifying light on somebody, and then immediately put them. It's a steady dot, okay, up front, and then excuse me, okay, over 11 seconds. So these two working together has a pretty decent amount of damage. I'll summon a Moto Mage Light, heal stealth enemies, but mainly I just have it for the max my stats, the spell crit increase. That's about. This is your use this when you get enemies down to % health. When you get them down to 30% health, the 330% more damage. It's 50, but I like to wait till 30. Usually if you wait till 30%, that you're pretty much gonna put them down. You want to try to use it when your Magicka pool is almost full, because it deals damage in proportion to your current Magicka pool. Your pool high and you use it, you get the max damage out of this execute. As for our first Dawnbreaker, the Magicka build, but Dawnbreaker does damage. It has a pretty good dot, sitting at 13k right off the bat, and then the main thing is the knockdown. 2.5 seconds. Good stun, it's down. It'll get somebody, especially time it with Purifying Light. And you execute Purifying Light, you get a lot of DPS out of Dawn. Sword and Board bar. This is your, oh shit, heal, save the day. It costs 4,000, so it is very expensive. So you want to use it sparingly. Essentially, is you want to use this if you get down % health. You use this to 100%. It's a 10k heal, and it'll heal one other person below 70 health, and it basically % of their health. It also gives you a little bit of use it, so it does help a little bit with, but it is really expensive. So you want to use this as possible, even when you're in a group. Structured entropy. This is your offense. It's 14 seconds in duration. You can cast it, you know, and then swap over into your wield bar and do what you want. It gives you a bit of, so it does a little bit of damage over time, healing over time. The main thing is it increases your damage by 20% for 20 seconds. Gives you that which you really need damage up. 100% P and 100% uptime on those are the two that you pay attention to your buff tracker and make sure they're up when you're using them when you're in battle. Aurora Javelin. This is where you hurl a spirit. You stun them meters. Ideally, you know, I don't use damage really at all. I prefer the knockback and the stun. You can use it in two ways. Say you're being pressured, someone's really up in your face, you're running out of Magicka. You can, you know, that spear, it hold them, it'll knock them back, and it'll so that you buffs down, heal back up, and get ready to, you know, come back. Offensively, you can also use it. Rotation, which I'll show. You go through the rotation. You can use this for, you know, to go into your execute. Oppression is the execute. It can be interrupted, so you don't want to be up in somebody's face. You either want to be, you know, a couple steps back from them and have them knocked back or stunned, ideally, at full time of the radiant. Restoring focus. This is a defensive buff. You major resolve, major ward. It increases your physical and spell resistance, minor vitality, and minor protection, which increases your heat and reduces your damage taken. It makes your big heal to the dead. Makes it even heals. Again, which you're already in heavy on with sword and board, so you're mitigating a lot. So this goes up. Restoring focus. You really want as much as possible. Buffs they make a big difference. They make you really tanky. Get them up. But I mean, I keep them up as much as possible. Distribution. This one's a little more expensive, but it cleanses 2 harmful effects from you immediately. Another little heat over time for you and your allies that are inside of it. It also does damage over time to your enemies within it. As well, you can also activate, which will cleanse as well and give them a little bit of a heal. Same thing I use this for, even in 1v1s, is you can cleanse off of you, the poisons, dots, fracture, night blades and stand builds, that they use. You can shake all that off, and it makes a big difference. All that off of you. For the ultimate, it's relatively ineffective. Ultimate sword and board ultimate. You can block all damage for 5.3 seconds. Base ability, I haven't morphed it yet. I've just been playing it. It helps you stay up quite a bit. I mean, it can be a lifesaver at times. So I would definitely. So we'll go over CP. The right one here. There we go. CP. So we got the tower, Warlord, which reduces the cost to break free. 50 Warlord, 8, the stuns, a lot of snares. It really comes in handy with letting you that crap get it off you. Stam is really important, so you to reduce how much stam you're using to get out of that stuff. Hunter and Arcanist, a lot of people would say this is a waste of points because of their diminished returns. Yeah, I would kind of agree with you there, but I want the 15% Magicka recovery. So even though I went somewhere else, I probably could. I like the full 15%. I can't get enough recovery on this build. I mean, I really can't. Recovery is something that's tough to come by because you kind of have to bench with your Magicka recovery. Your sustain. I chose to put the points in here, get that 15% boosted up through the CP as much as possible. 40 into tenacity, increase against stamina. You're fully charged. So basically, I'm using this for stam. My stam regen isn't as high as my magic, so when I'm keeping my block up, I'll try to get some heavy and light attacks in to keep my stam pool up, so I can at least break free and stay on my. Which goes a long way to staying alive on this build. 10 points in the health recovery. I'm a vampire, so I don't really have a lot of. So I just put this in just to get a little bit extra out. Health recovery is nice if you can get it. That's the only downfall of the vampire. 10 in the tumbling. Reduces the cost of roll dodge. I don't roll dodge very often. It's a waste of stam when I can, because I'm already mitigating a lot of damage just by blocking and wearing heavy armor. So the only time I really roll dodge is, you know, if somebody's using their ultimate, like a Dawnbreaker or something, I'll roll out of the cone, try to get out of the damage. That's really about it. Shadow Ward reduces the cost of block by 4.7 right now at 10 points. I might shift some and put some more into, you know, reducing the cost of block. I do pretty decent right now, but reduced block cost would always be nice. So we'll update that later. 43 in the blessed. This is what gives you your big heals to keep yourself up when needed. It also boosts the heals on your jabs, which means you don't have to spam your, you know, your other heal quite as much. Elfborn increases damage and healing of crit strike. 80 in the elemental expert. Flame frost shock magic damage. Obviously, most of our stuff is one of these, so that's why we got the majority. 80. 12 in the spell erosion. 15 in the mastered arms. We don't have a lot of damage next, but just 30 in thaumaturge damage over time effect. 60 in ironclad reduces damage taken by the direct damage attacks. So most people have a lot of to direct damage, which is mastered arms. This is how you mitigate that through ironclad. So 60 to try to mitigate that as much as possible. 60 in crit resist and resistant for their crit resistance. I think you'd want to be around, you know, 2 to 2,500, somewhere in there. So you're gonna have to put some points in here to get your crit resistance up. Impen helps me get there as well. 50 in hardy, 50 in elemental defender. As CP gets raised, I'm pretty much just going to stick with this 50-50 split, I think, and just keep adding into here. This mitigates overall all damage. So, you know, 50-50 you want to. In the Lord, let's see, and that is CP. So I'll show the rotation here. Essentially, you want to Purifying Light, Vampire, Purifying Light, there's Bane. Up, yeah, vampires, couple jab. So yeah, ideally you buff, get your 2 defense in the battle, and then Purifying Light, Bane, and then ultimate. These throw in 2 or 3, get their health down and help. By the time the Purifying Light goes on, or use some stun, like the stun, and you want to keep the buffs down. I can't. The main rune here is 8 seconds. You can actually hit, and you'll see it can block. You get that 8 seconds over again. Okay, you throw up your defense. You want to keep these buffs up as much as you know around things. You can throw, kite around, keep your back in it, kite around, things. And once I'm finding that line of sight is really important. Try to, if you really want to, keep your blight. You really got to use more than some. Don't have shield things that damage. So if you have or go ahead and throw. I always check them out. I'll have a video in the next day or two. I'll also have a game open world like Cyrodiil. If you'll be so kind, give me a like and some more builds coming in the future as well. I'm gonna quite a bit. Templar is my favorite class far. We'll talk to you next. We sign off.